It literally sounded like a train coming through.
This is all that's left of the motel Divyesh Patel says his family owned for the last 50 years.
I actually pinched myself 2 or 3 times to make sure I was not dreaming, because I would never have thought of that this would be happening to us.
A strong tornado touched down on West Point Road in Troup County early Sunday morning, ripping trees up by the root and decimating buildings, including this church. Patel says it was still dark when he and his wife were forced to shelter in their young daughter's bathroom to wait out the storm.
A whole bunch of debris, glass shattering and everything.
As the sun rose, families attempted to assess the damage, trying to make sense of what they called a morning of chaos. Multiple rain showers throughout the morning meant recovery had a slow start.
I know it's a very frustrating time for the people of West Point, Troup County, LaGrange. This is the third tornado we've had in a 2-month span.
Authorities estimate between 80 and 100 homes were damaged during the storm, with close to 30 of those homes, like this one, being a complete loss. Power crews spent hours trying to restore electricity to those homes that were still standing.
We're doing everything we can to make sure that the public's safe, continuing our response to this.
Meanwhile, Divyesh says he's hoping to reopen his family business, but he's thankful he and his loved ones are safe.
We worked with Governor Kemp's office as well as Director Chris Stallings from the Georgia Emergency Management Direction Agency this morning to work with getting a state of emergency issued, and Governor Kemp helped us with that. That released a number of state troopers as well as DNR rangers that have been deployed to Troup County to assist with that. We're asking at this time to please limit non-essential travel. We've got these affected areas, and the people driving around looking are affecting us being able to rescue and get all these people and the trees off these homes and the roadway. A Red Cross shelter has been established at the West Point Parks and Rec Point University Gym, and we're accepting non-perishable items that can be donated to Reed's Chapel Church and the First Baptist Church of West Point at this time. One of the things that we're working diligently on is trying to make sure that all the trees and the roadways are clear. That's a round-the-clock effort that we're working on constantly. So I've been in touch with the National Weather Service. They're going to send a damage assessment team down to review exactly what kind of weather event that we had. That'll take place tomorrow morning sometime, approximately around 9 or 10 a.m. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to the chairman, Mr. Patrick Cruz.
All right, thank you, Zach. It's unfortunate we're back here again so quick in Troup County talking again about another disaster. But I want to first recognize all of the county staff and other workers from the state agencies and other city governments that's helping us recover. As he's outlined for you this morning, we had that disaster, and the next couple of hours it was kind of chaos, and everybody was trying to work hard to determine the extent of the damage around the county. So let me say that I have talked to our state representatives, been in touch with the governor. We've been talking to some of the leaders of our local industry. What can we do to help them? And I appreciate what Governor Kemp has done by giving us the disaster declaration. It's allowed extra resources that have been pointed out from other state agencies. I know that Georgia Forestry has been helping us clear trees also. So again, I'm glad to say that we had a minor number of injuries and no deaths. We're real concerned about the people that have been hit hard in their property damage, and so our thoughts and prayers are with them, and thank you for being here today.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Irisha Goodman, Director of Public Relations for Troup County Schools. I'll be very brief. At this time, schools will be open for normal operations tomorrow morning. Right now, we're just working on transportation for schools, especially for West Point Elementary. Working on alternative routes, and as soon as we have those routes, it will be communicated to parents at West Point, also Troup High School and the Long Cane schools. We'll get that out to parents through our notification system and also through social media. So at this time, that's what we're working on, is the alternative routes to make sure we get the kids to school. Thank you.
All right, at this point, I'll open up to any questions, any of the members standing to my left or right.
Larry Spur with Channel 2.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us the areas that were hit the most, that was most affected by the tornado?
So it appears the initial impact area was around the 7800 block of West Point Road. And from there, it appears it traveled east toward the Mayworth County line. And there are some impacts along that line, and we're hoping to get a better estimate of that later this afternoon as well.
I'll find the routes for BTV. Question, what about, will it be delayed time for the start of the school in the morning if roads are not passable?
No, ma'am, not at this time. Like I said, we will make alternative routes available for the kids to make sure they get to school on time, to make sure they are there, even after school as well. So at this time, no delay in start times.
Hey there, Rob Darienzo with Fox 5. Can you talk about the nature of the injuries? You mentioned that they were minor. Can you go into detail about that?
Yeah, as far as I know, and Zach, if you want further, 5 non-life-threatening at this point. They were transported to Wellstar, West Georgia. I believe all but 2 have since been discharged from the hospital.
And do you know what the nature of the injuries?
I don't. No, sir.
As far as homes, do we know how many homes have been damaged so far or destroyed by the storm?
It appears our initial count is 80 to 100 damaged, possibly 20 to 30 significant or complete loss at this point. And all of that is sorted around the West Point area as we go east.
With the federal funding, what can, or not with federal, but as the state of emergency, what can the county do with that in regards to recovery?
Chairman Young, or Zach?
Yeah.
So when the governor issues a state of emergency like that, it opens up all the state available resources. And one of the things that comes to that is where our partners at the Georgia State Patrol, DNR, Forestry, any state resource becomes available to the local government at that standpoint. So that's why we've utilizing these crews for security, as well as anything that we can utilize them for here. Those state resources become available to us through that declaration for the governor.
I have one more question. With the
Okay.
tiger recovery, do we know how they were recovered?
Yes. So one of the tigers, I understand, did not leave its enclosure, and one did, and it was right outside the enclosure, and they were tranquilized and taken back into the possession, if you will, of the safari staff.
Was the public in any danger with the tigers being out?
No, I mean, could have, yes, but with one staying inside the enclosure, no, and one just never really left the immediate area. So, and that is a very large complex out there. There's a lot of acreage out there. Yes, sir.
Do you have a rough timeline of when things will kind of start to look like normal again?
You know, I don't have any estimate on that. It's going to take some time to get in there and clean things up, get things back to normal. One thing that was impacted was a lot of Verizon cell phone service was initially impacted, and that obviously hindered us to begin with as far as cell phones go. But a lot of that is slowly being restored at this time.
Are there any roads still closed?
Right now, the main road that is shut down is a portion of West Point Road between Webb Road and the city limits of West Point. That's because we've got a lot of damage in there, and first responders and crews are in there. So that's the main road that is completely shut down at this point.
In the Red Cross area, there was, I guess, there was a road closure blockage right there. A lot of the residents said they weren't able to get to their homes. Can they now do that, or is there a reason why they weren't?
If you live in that area, we're also going to let you through once you meet with our staff. The reason we closed it, there's a lot of onlookers, people didn't live in there, and so we're trying to shut that down. If you do live in that area, and just get with our staff at the closures, and we'll work with you on that.
What can family members that, friends that are concerned, that they want to come out and help our families, what can they do? What advice?
Right now, just wait to hear directly from those people. Don't just show up at the property down there.
Raven Allred, Raven in real life, do you foresee any need for outside communities or organizations to start donation drives for relief?
You want to speak on that?
Yeah.
Anything?
So Jeremy Butler, lieutenant with the LaGrange Police Department, oversees our VOAD group, does all the volunteers and donations in Troup County. That's one of the things that we reestablished after the January 12th tornado, and try to be very diligent in working through that. He's in contact with a lot of the agencies and churches, as well as some of the Salvation Army major groups, as well as the local partners too, to make sure that we're utilizing that and doing the best we can with that. The biggest thing to remember with donations as well is you can get overwhelmed with those very quickly if it's not managed the proper way. So Lieutenant Butler at the City PD is really helping us with that, and he's kind of overseeing a lot of the donations to make sure that we don't have a disaster within the disaster with that.
This morning we heard reports of some people being entrapped in their homes. Do you know how many people?
Mornings, I believe beginning around 3:25 this morning, if I'm not mistaken, and we received another one. They canceled at about 6:20. We received another one about 6:40, and then the tornado warning immediately followed that when we received reports of damage within 4 to 5 minutes of receiving that.
You got another one that possibly got bad weather coming in later on tonight. How are you guys preparing for that?
Well, we're always paying attention to it. We've got a diligent crew that works in the Emergency Operations Center, as well as county, city leaderships, and the governments here. They're very supportive of us. So we've got all the resources in place we need. We're consistently monitoring that. We're working with our partners at the National Weather Service, the GEMA staff that's been here, Area Field Coordinator Jason Ritter, Deputy Director of Emergency Management for GEMA Tom Moore is on the ground with us here. So we've got all the resources in place, and we're responding to this as well as preparing for any other response we may need to do in the future.
In terms of the shelters that have been open, do you know approximately how many people will have to utilize them at this point?
I do not. That's pretty early on in the process. That sometimes you don't realize how many people's homes were truly affected in the first few hours of that. Obviously, we're talking 6-7 hours after that. People are still moving around a little bit, and so sometimes you don't get the accurate numbers until you understand, have they been to other relatives' house, or have they been out of town and they're coming home and just now realizing that. So sometimes the need for shelter you don't realize 24, 48 hours after what your true numbers are. And there can be other substantial things such as additional structure issues, trees falling, water leaks that may not need shelter now, may need that in the next day or two. So we're working with our partners at the Red Cross to make sure we got enough room for anybody that needs it.
I know you mentioned no fatalities. Is everyone accounted for? Anybody missing that you guys are looking for?
We've not been notified of anybody missing or not accounted for at this time.
Is there any information that you guys can share with the public as to the restoration of the power grid in that area, along like Motel West Point, that area?
I know the Diverse Power, and I believe there's some Georgia Power in that vicinity as well. We've been in touch with the people at Diverse Power and their leadership team, and they're working as quickly as they can on that. But as far as an exact timeline of that, I'm not sure. I know that 1,900 power outages was some of the initial numbers that we had right out of the gate, and I think that's come down a little bit now, but I don't have the exact numbers in front of me.
And there was a lot of damage to that grid down there, as me and the chief observed.
Anything else the public needs to know right now?
I know it's a very frustrating time for the people of West Point, Troup County, LaGrange. This is the third tornado we've had in a 2-month span, as well as some straight line wind damage in West Point just not 2 weeks ago. I know people are growing weary of that, but stand assured that we're doing everything we can to make sure that the public's safe, continuing our response to this, any mitigation efforts we can in the future to make sure that we're making this a safer community. We're working hard with our partners at GEMA, local EMA, as the county government, and we're doing everything we can for that.